Coming up on today's Airborne, there's an industry outcry against the USA Today anti-general aviation hit piece. A U.S. Senator wants Bob Hope Airport curfew on funding bill. And the Sport Aviation Expo amends its 2015 dates. Welcome to Airborne on Aero-TV. I'm Ashley Hale. In case you've been numbed into the assumption that you can believe what you read in a major newspaper, USA Today has proved that yellow journalism is alive and well and thriving in its so-called report on general aviation safety. Of course, that's our opinion, but we aren't alone. AOPA released a statement saying, quote, "This extremely flawed article paints a misleading picture about the safety of general aviation. It gets the general aviation safety record wrong. It ignores efforts by the industry to make general aviation safer, and it violates basic tenets of fairness and accuracy when it comes to good journalism." End quote. GAMA's president Pete Bunce responded, quote, "Thomas Frank's sensationalistic three-part series in today's USA Today fails to acknowledge the significant progress general aviation manufacturers have made to improve safety. Aircraft manufacturers spend significant time and expense to ensure the safety of their aircraft." End quote. EAA's Jack Pelton hit the nail right on the head when he said, quote, "Unfortunately, the article's title, Unfit for Flight, perhaps would have been more accurate as unfit for print. It's simply sloppy reporting or journalism and fills in the blanks to reach a predetermined narrative." End quote. Ed Bowen, president and CEO of the NBAA, wrote, "It's unfortunate that in aiming for sizzle, your series ignores data trends, technological developments, and other pertinent information provided by industry sources about general aviation safety." End quote. The list goes on, but we doubt if USA Today cares about real facts or the truth. California Senator Diane Feinstein is attempting to use a mini appropriations bill that includes funding for the Department of Transportation to curtail nighttime operations at Burbank Bob Hope Airport. The Feinstein amendment would impose a curfew on all airport operations at the airport. A message posted by Helicopter Association International on their website points out that these type of amendments are, quote, "devastating to local businesses and are a negative impact on the aviation system," end quote. HAI President Matt Zuccaro said, quote, "We see more and more of these type of legislative aircraft noise mandates coming from U.S. senators seeking to placate a small minority of their constituency. This is the worst example of regulation by legislation, whereby the role of the FAA is diminished and there is little regard for industry voluntary efforts. Passage of Senator Feinstein's amendment to scale back operations at Burbank is another nail in the coffin for general aviation, adding to politically imposed operating restrictions across the nation." End quote. You're watching Airborne. We'll be back after these messages with more news and our feature of the day.
ADS-B will be mandatory for most aircraft by 2020 in the United States, but you can benefit from ADS-B today with the Bendix King KT-74 Mode S transponder. The KT-74 meets the global mandates for ADS-B out when attached to a suitable WAAS GPS. Finally, the extraordinary story of the world-changing X-Prize space competition is being told and illustrated with hundreds of insider photos in Jim Campbell's colorful new book, Beyond the Blue. Journey with Jim as he flies formation with spaceships, plays in zero gravity, prepares rocket racers, and documents the amazing first decade of the personal space race. Available this summer. Get your advance order in now by checking out www.kindredspirit.com.
Welcome back. If you'd like to be a supporter of Airborne, Aero-TV, our website, or our podcast, drop an email to jim@aero-news.net. If you want to see what's going on in the world of light sport aviation, the annual U.S. Sport Aviation Expo in Sebring, Florida is the place to be. The 2015 annual U.S. Sport Aviation Expo will open one day earlier than in years past, with the event now running from Wednesday, January 14th through Saturday, January 17th of 2015. Expo Director Jana Phillip explained the change. Quote, "We've observed that attendance on Sunday traditionally has been lower than other exhibit days, so amending our dates seemed like the best way to offer a better event for both our exhibitors and our visitors. We think the schedule will be better for everyone." End quote. The expo will offer on-site overnight camping for home-built aircraft, as well as special display parking space for owners to showcase their aircraft. Phillips said, quote, "We know home builders have many similar product needs as owners of light sport aircraft, so the expo is a great place for home builders to shop as well." End quote. It's Friday at last, and that means it's time for ANN's editor-in-chief to check in with his weekly Barnstorming commentary. This week, Jim has a few words to say about the recent hit on general aviation published by USA Today. Okay, maybe it's a little more than just a few words. We hope USA Today's Thomas Frank is listening.
Thanks, Ashley, and hi, folks. Well, the industry's all agog about the Thomas Franks article that appeared in USA Today. Well, there's a lot to say about it. Initially, I can tell you that there are numerous issues that we can point with this particular article and regarding misleading statements, errors in facts, so forth and so on. But I wanted to go beyond that. The fact of the matter is this: general aviation and aviation overall has been misunderstood by the general media for a long time because, well, they don't do it, and we do. They don't understand the hazards, they don't understand the rudiments, they don't understand the basics, they don't understand the skills, they don't understand the thrill, they don't understand the value. They just don't understand. So under normal circumstances, it would be up to this industry to be able to correct that, to speak out. And while the industry's speaking out, it's speaking out in outrage. They're not pointing out the errors. In fact, they're talking around this and talking around that simply because I don't think the industry is really prepared to argue the facts, especially with the unarmed, because the general media lately, when it comes to aviation, really just wants to get its story done, or at least start with the premise of a story and then fill in the blanks to make the premise of the story work. The premise of this story, very simple, was this: make GA look bad, make trial lawyers look good, take a whole lot of phraseology and statements that, honest to God, I've heard time and time again from a few of the pivotal anti-aviation trial lawyers in this country, and, well, create a little bit of carnage. While they're talking about the carnage created by the industry, what they're doing is heaping carnage upon an industry. That leads me to what I really want to say here. If this industry was stronger, if this industry wasn't so fragmented, if this industry wasn't as poorly led by and large, not always, if this industry had more integrity, if this industry could speak as one, these stories wouldn't bother us so much. But the fact of the matter is, we're an industry that's dying the death of 1,000 cuts. It continues day by day. And when it comes to the larger entities like a USA Today or some of the others that have taken on GA in some form or fashion, well, we're really unprepared to deal with it. Yes, Thomas Frank's article is a horrific piece of journalism. I won't even call it a piece of journalism. He had an intent. His intent was to make GA look bad, to create a sensational story, to mouth a whole lot of things that were apparently, I can't say for sure, but it sure sounds word for word what I've heard from so many trial lawyers over the course of the last couple of decades. Well, if he wanted to make GA look bad, he succeeded. The question to the rest of us is, what are we going to do about it? When are we going to get our act together? When are we going to be properly led? When are we going to be properly organized? And most important, when are we going to speak as one? We'll see. For the Aero-News Network, Airborne and Aero-TV, I'm Jim Campbell, and I'm waiting.
Mooney is preparing to celebrate the winning bid for Mooney Acclaim Into 42MR at AirVenture this year. The first new Mooney airplane produced in 5 years is nearing completion and available to the highest bidder during the First to Fly Mooney History Museum auction. Proceeds from the sale of the first Mooney will be used to create the Mooney History Museum in Kerrville, Texas. Mooney is completing the production flight test on the airplane and will soon be in the process of finalizing the Oshkosh vinyl graphics package for the show. Mooney will be honoring the winning bid to own this airplane by offering the winner free airfare from anywhere in the lower 48 states to AirVenture, along with gate passes, a rental car, and hotel accommodations at the Heidel House Resort Spa in Green Lake, Wisconsin for the entire week of the show. Now that's the way to celebrate owning a new plane. Airborne is brought to you by some of the best sponsors in the aviation business. We'll be right back with more news.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird X-Wind SE and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulation.com.
Welcome back. The 9th annual Cessnas to Oshkosh, also referred to as the C2O Group, plans to arrive at EAA AirVenture this year with 56 aircraft registered, including as many as 19 Model 177 Cardinals. The Cessna Cardinal had a 10-year production run that ended in 1978 and was slated to replace the venerable 172. The Cessna 172 eventually came back to replace the Cardinal, but that doesn't detract from features like Cardinal's cantilever wing with a laminar flow airfoil, better visibility, and upgraded interior. Cardinal owner Jerry Olson has been leading the effort to get Model 177s involved in CTO this year. He said, quote, 19 Cardinals may not sound like a lot, but considering there are less than 3,000 left flying worldwide, that's a fairly significant number, end quote. Flight leader Rodney Swanson says this will be one of the bigger years for the group flight. Thousands of EAA AirVenture attendees will work on the EAA Zenith One Week Wonder project. But how do you keep this from turning into a cat herding contest? Zenith is on top of this and is planning to have the cat wrangling handled by a core team of volunteers who will maintain continuity, quality assurance, and keep the project under control. Approximately 100 people who will spend half or full days working on the airplane are needed to form the core team. While some previous experience with home building is desirable to be a member of the core team, it's not a requirement. The One Week Wonder project will show thousands of people exactly how an airplane goes together from start to finish, with the Zenith kit arriving at Oshkosh just as any builder would receive it. If you want to be considered as a member of the core team, complete the online application by going to www.sport.aero. Well, that's our program. Remember to get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Please remember Airborne is streamed 3 times a week and is always online. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a new edition of Airborne. I'm Ashley Hale. Thanks for watching.